Welcome, Mr. Matthew Kerr, to the Bridge the Gap
Thank you.
experience. My name is Holden Stephan Roy, and typically what we do here is we talk to creative professionals and we walk through their life and we try to extract a bunch of knowledge nuggets and learn about them, etc. But it's a little different today. We realized with this election year coming up that I don't know anything personally. I don't know anything about local NDG politics. Like, I mean, I know that there's a Cordair and there's a Valerie Plant, and then I found out about a month ago that a Balarama Holmes exists, which I believe is the team that you're with. So I
Yeah.
now know he's a name. And then I realized, if I were to proceed to start talking to the various people that I know, the people in my life, about local politics, about like the people we actually vote for in this borough, nobody knows a thing. Nobody knows anything. So I'm like, okay, what happens if you try to Google stuff as like an Anglophone in Montreal?
What is it?
Big lack of info. Are you still with us? Did it freeze again?
Yeah, I froze again, yeah. But
Can, can you hear me though?
yeah,
Awesome. So yeah, with the lack of like English media sources that like talk about stuff like what's happening up around our part of the town, I was like, well, maybe the NDG candidates would be down to talk, and it turns out y'all were, and that was very baffling to me. But I'm super grateful because, like, I'm gonna be real with you. I don't know anything about the jurisdictions of what the mayor of NDG is supposed to do or anything like that. So I was hoping we could start this off a little bit with you introducing yourself a little bit. Who are you and where are you from?
yeah. And I just want to say to begin, thank you, Holden, for hosting me. This is the first interview I've done, so this is the exclusive content that's showing up on your show. And so I'm just happy to be here and super thrilled. So thank you for giving me the platform to do that. So my name is Matthew Kerr. I grew up in Côte des Neiges on the corner of Victoria and Mackenzie, pretty well in the heart of Côte des Neiges, a very diverse neighborhood, super multicultural, um, just a great area to live in and to get an idea of what other cultures do and and how they help the city thrive and just how it was just great, just to put it short, a great borough to grow up in. I remember, we lived across the street from the La Maison du Carré, the curry house. Um,
It's the greatest.
yeah. So just unbelievable. And then they would always have, they would put on shows on Sunday nights with, the steel drum bands. And just being exposed to that at such an early age was just so, crucial for my upbringing and realizing that there's a whole universe of people and music and culture. And I was just really, really lucky to grow up in that neighborhood. So that's a little bit about my upbringing as far as where I grew up. And then in my teens, we moved to NDG, and that was a wonderful experience as well. I mean, NDG, like I had all my rites of passage there. Went to high school there, Royalville.
What? Oh, you went to
Um,
Royal Vale. Okay.
yeah, yeah. Um, Yeah, so just I'm born and bred Côte des Neiges, NDG. I mean, I love the borough. I love the people within it. I love the small businesses. I love the culture that's there, the food culture, the art scene, the diversity. Really everything. And it was even more motivation for me to kind of step up, get involved in municipal politics and local politics and try to represent my borough and be a leader and an ambassador within it. So that was my biggest motivation, probably just being from the borough and loving it.
All right. So what did you do after high school? What was your post like? What did you get up to in CEGEPs, adventures?
Yeah, after high school, I went to Dawson. I studied social sciences there. I was introduced to rugby there, where I played for the Blues for 2 years. And then rugby became my life probably for the next pretty well up until the pandemic hit, when I was forced to stop playing. And and rugby opened an entire new world of connections and people and relationships, and just jokes upon jokes. So it played a huge role in where I wanted to go, in my future, and just in terms of teams and teamwork and team building, and hearing people's stories and where they come from, their backgrounds. Rugby is also very, a diverse sport. It's an international sport. And that's where I got introduced to it. Yeah, in CEGEP. And it was so formative for me. It's great. And I want to give a quick shout out to the Montreal Wanderers and NDG Dragons youth team. So I know hopefully they're watching. Yeah.
And if they're not watching now, it'll be up on the YouTube later, and this is gonna be archived forever. And
forever.
Nah, but that's cool. I think it's kind of important to get a sense of who you are. There are, I guess, issues and other campaigny stuff we can talk about after, which I'm sure there are a lot of people who are about. But I think it's cool to know you were a sports dude and you mad passionate about it, and you ran it all the way till something like COVID stopped you. Like, that's an admirable trait right there.
Yeah, thank you.
What kind of occupational stuff do you do, like to get the other kind of life experience-y?
Yeah, absolutely. So just to continue along that path of education, I attended Concordia after, mostly at the Loyola campus. I studied human relations there. Upon finishing that, I'd started a youth rugby program in NDG Dragons, where I met my current boss. I've known him now, I guess, 8-9 years, and he works at the St. James Drop-in Center. So I've been working at the St. James Drop-in Center, which is a day shelter for the homeless. And I've been there for 8 years, just trying to help people get off the street, have a safe place to hang out during the day, access resources of all kinds, whether it's housing, mental health, social services. So that's what I had been doing the last 8 years. So I did that for like 2-3 years within that time. Then a position opened up within the same organization to work at a social enterprise by the name of Street Suds. And so I became the GM of Street Suds, which is an industrial laundry facility as a social enterprise that we have contracts throughout the city, whether they're, spas, small hotels, things of that nature. And all our participants that join the program, we have 10 participants, and they're all welfare recipients, and they do a 20-hour work week. And the goal is to try to, give them skills, work skills, routine skills, and life skills in order to be able to reintegrate into maybe a more traditional workforce. We've found that the program's been very successful. We've grown, exponentially over the last 10 years. And it's a truly a beautiful thing to be a part of, and I'm super proud of it and the strides that we've made doing that. Yeah.
Nah, super cool for real. A couple questions just on the tangential, because it's a live thing, so people ask. We're gonna ask. And my girlfriend actually wanted to know if the homeless shelter you were describing has still been running during COVID.
Yeah, it has been. We had to. So during COVID, we were kind of only admitting individuals that were like hardcore homeless. What I kind of mean by that are people that are really roughing it on the street, sort of 24/7. A lot of it's an old organization, right, St. James? So we've been around for around 30 years. Within that time, we've had many people come in that have been able to find their way. So now they're staying in social housing or supervised housing. But during COVID, we kind of had to limit the visits from people within residents, and we managed to stay open without really any sort of outbreaks, which was lucky. We had one individual come in, coughing, And then it turns out that she had tuberculosis, which is not funny, but you're like, how did you manage to catch, TB during a COVID outbreak? So it was just kind of, that was sort of the closest thing that we got to sort of a lung virus that was going around, or infection rather. So it was good. We managed to kind of keep it as safe as possible, and yeah, just kept with the guidelines that the Quebec government was sort of overseeing, and we were able to continue operation.
That's really cool. And I mean that just because I think it's cool that you're involved in something that attaches to social issues, like that, where it gets you exposed to how the system works and etc.
Yeah.
Because that sounds like it could be really practical experience in a political role that deals with the system. But again, and I'm gonna ask you more specifics about what exactly you're gonna
Yeah.
end up doing, because what does a mayor do? But before we get to that, I think it's still like fun to kind of know you better still. So, what else do you do outside of rugby and like trying to save the world?
um, that's really the biggest portion of my life. I mean, I'm not, uh, yeah, I don't have too many other hobbies. I like to train, stay physically active, spend time with my family. Go to the country when possible. Spend time outdoors, camping, a lot of outdoor activity. And given that we've been in isolation as well for the past year and a half, just kind of coming out of the shell now and seeing more friends and family, which has taken up a lot of time, and it's been great. It's been great to see everyone again. And yeah, as far as hobbies and interests, it's like I said, I was obsessed with rugby. I mean, like that was my life. I was trying to go pro in a way, I think, as well, and spent some time in Vancouver too, trying to pursue that dream. But on to other things. So
That's fair enough. I mean, trying to be mayor is pretty big things to aspire to be. So,
yeah.
how do you like get to this point where you're like, I'm gonna go for mayor of NDG? Like that's the move. Like that's what I'm gonna go pursue. It seems like a huge step.
Yeah, I kind of felt like it was organically the right path to follow, given my background in working with the homeless, and the housing crisis that's taking place in Montreal now, and pretty well kind of all over Canada. So I kind of thought to myself, well, what's the next big thing that I can do? Where's my life going? I mean, working in the shelter is great, but it's such a small demographic, that I'm working to try to help. So what's the next step? And so I had heard Balarama Wholeness on the radio. I think it was CJD, if I'm not mistaken. I was driving the Street Says van on a delivery, and I heard that there was a new party, Mouvement Montréal, and they were looking for candidates. So I put my name into the hat. I didn't hear anything back really. A couple of weeks went by. I said to myself, okay, well, that's all right. We'll just continue with the grind here. And then lo and behold, one day I was at work and he calls me. He's like, hey, this is Balaram. And I was like, oh, like, okay. He says, yeah, I want to meet up and hear what you're about, what you do. So I met up with him, and I explained to him how I want to be a leader, in my community, how I'm from Côte des Neiges, from NDG. I love the neighborhood. I'm involved in so-and-so community efforts and organizations. And he said, okay, you're in, you're the guy. And that's kind of how it got started. Basically, like, hang on tight, because this is a big election, and NDG Côte des Neiges is a big borough, and there's a lot going on. It's in the media a lot, for various reasons. And they said, you're going to have your work cut out for you. So best of luck, but we got your back. Yeah.
That's
So,
an amazing way to introduce you to it. Like, yo, it's gonna be hard. You can do it. We got you, but you're gonna have to put that work in. I like that.
yeah. Yeah. And it's been work, but it's been amazing. I honestly, I love meeting with people in the borough and talking and hearing about their backgrounds, hearing about, their stories, how they got here, what they like about the borough, what they don't like, what they want to see improve, what's already great. And so it's only kind of, I think, 3-4 weeks in that I announced, but it's the outpouring of support just from, my family, and then Facebook has been unbelievable. I'm so lucky, and it's just given me motivation to continue and make myself believe that this is the right thing to do, and this is the right path. So,
All right. So let's move a little bit into the more mayoral stuff. What exactly is a mayor of NDG Courtenay responsible for? Like, let's say I were to be like, yo, bro, we got to go vote. And they're like, okay, but what does this guy do? Because when I brought up the fact that I was talking to people, we got a lot of comments that were like Quebec's jurisdiction, stuff that's Montreal's jurisdiction. And I'm like, nah, hold on a second. Y'all don't even know what jurisdiction this NDG like is. So like, what exactly does the mayor of Côte-des-Neiges NDG actually do?
right. So the mayor of Côte-des-Neiges NDG will oversee the projects that are taking place in the borough. They're responsible for, approving plans, setting bylaws, bringing up motions, you know, in charge of overseeing the management of, snow removal, garbage removal, and making sure that the budget is respected, and that we're staying within the budget, and that things are running smoothly, that the citizens are happy. And so how the breakdown is, you have the mayor of Montreal, you have the 18 mayor boroughs, or borough mayors rather. Within those boroughs there are city councillors. In NDG there are 5 councillors. So there's Darlington, Snowden, Côte-des-Neiges, Loyola, and NDG, Notre-Dame-de-Grâce itself. And then Moro, I think Mauricio, I'm pretty sure you know him.
I do know Moro. Yo, shout out Moro. Yes, he's announced his
Yeah,
candidacy and can now no longer assist me. But he
yeah.
totally got this ball in motion in my life. So shout him out for real. And I think he's on your party, right? You guys are like
Yeah,
running mates. Is that the term for
yeah,
it?
yeah. That's what I'm calling it. He's my running mate. He just announced for Snowden, and I mean, I think since having met him, I think right away there was a connection there, and he's been a major, help and inspiration. And the guy is just ruthless in his investigations, and just his knowledge. He's always coming up to me with, with research and facts, and like, oh, you got to mention this, talk about that, talk about how there's no dog parks in Snowden, and but there's 6 parks, and he just knows his stuff, and he knows his stats. He's really a thorough individual, and Snowden's going to be lucky to have him, definitely. So big shout out to Morrow. I just met him recently, but it's already going great. He's just a super kind, smart individual.
All right. So basically, if I understand correctly, you're responsible for managing the budget that exists, making sure that all the people in different departments, like the garbage folk and all of these different systems that exist within NDG, like the city services of NDG, right? Like
Yeah,
you have to
correct.
manage and work out with whoever it is all the different things and make sure that we don't overspend. And then within that, also approve projects. So like when they build stuff at the park, that would be you that decides if they build something at the park or not.
Right. So I mean, that'll go through the city councilor. Like I'll pass the motion. It'll be approved by the city councilor if they agree, and then the project can get going, unless there's an objection, whether there'll be a referendum at that point. Yeah.
So you would kickstart the project and oversee like at a top level, and then the city council person. So let's say like they're doing something up at Loyola Park right now. So that would
Hmm.
mean like Sue Montgomery kicked it forward, and then whoever the Loyola person is had to like approve it.
Right. Correct.
That's terrible if I don't know who they are. I don't know who anybody is, but I only even know who Sue Montgomery is because she's got enough heat right now to be English media worthy.
Yeah, yeah, she's got her work cut out for sure. Um, yeah.
All right. So that's how it would actually like play out in real life. So you're like the guy who has to make sure that all the council people don't overspend and they like play nice with each other. You're like the boss of the bosses.
Yeah, well, that's where it becomes, you know, a bit sticky in the sense that not it's not guaranteed that a city councilor will be part of my party as well, right?
Oh.
So there could be a city councilor represented with Projet Montréal, and let's say I'm with Mouvement Montréal. So at that point, we kind of have to collaborate and depending, usually it's supposed to be at the best interests of the citizens and the people, the project gets passed. But that's when you kind of get into the politics and the political games. Hopefully not too much. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if there's going to be a lot of games or not. All I know is I hope to talk to all of you, and that sounds like super interesting to me because I just learned how a little bit more of the city of NDG functions in a practical way, and I really appreciate that. I mean, for you, it might sound goofy for me to be like that, but I'm like, yo, how did I go my whole life and not know that that's how it works? But that's kind of why we're here. What are the focuses of your party? Like, what does Movement Montreal like represent, and like, what is like, what do they bring to NDG? I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, well, my mandate is really going to be to address the housing crisis within the borough and trying to find solutions to keep people within the borough. There's a lot of families that are being evicted from their homes for whatever the reason may be, whether it's landlords claiming their family members are moving back in so that the current tenant has to leave. And rent evictions is also a very kind of popular buzzword that we're hearing around the city. And so I, I want to implicate myself to protect, people from having to leave the borough. And so, I mean, Movement Montréal, I mean, we have a housing platform and we want to introduce 30,000 new rentable homes, so affordable homes within the city, 6,000 of which are going to be dedicated to social housing. So, that's one of our mandates as far as the housing crisis and how we're going to solve that. Also, steadily increasing the city's housing budget to $200 million per year, or 2% every year for the next 5 years as well. Also, officially recognizing Montreal as a bilingual city is also on our platform. And then as well as, restructuring or looking at ways to restructure the public security budget to shift funds from there into other programs, social housing programs, social intervention programs that are geared more towards intervention to prevent crime within the city.
All right, this is gonna sound like maybe a simple question, but specifically on the renting one, which is an issue I'm passionate about myself as I watch the rent price double and triple and go freaking. Let's say I remember when NDG, like, I live Fielding in Rosedale, and I remember when it didn't cost this much to live Fielding in Rosedale, is what I'm trying to say.
Right.
I found out like 3.5 is going for prices where I'm like raising my eyebrow at, and like, yeah, it's mad complicated with all the different issues that impact Montreal's renting situation as a whole. So how do you go about achieving that mandate here? Like, how does somebody like you actually pull that off?
It's going to be there's no clear cut solution. I mean, the renting thing is a supply and demand, sort of issue, right? In my opinion, I think people, and then maybe the reason for the housing the prices and the rent where they are now is people are buying into a lot of hype. You know what I mean? So they say like this is what it's worth. You know, but why is it worth that much? Well, just because it is, because it's scarce. And they're like, well, why is that? You know, I think that's one of the issues why the rents are so high. How to get them lower? I mean, maybe we can offer, you know, tax incentives, kind of restructure, you know, the system, how it works in terms of maybe your income is based on what the rent that you're paying, you know, should be. It's certainly going to be, you know, a task, but you know, we have to sit down with, you know, professionals and you know, the party's going to sit down together as well and look more in depth on, you know, real concrete, you know, ways that we can make that happen and keep homes affordable for the people in Côte-des-Neiges and NDG.
I'm like, you gotta fight condo developer people, and they're like
That's
really
yeah,
powerful people. And I'm not saying it to be facetious. It's just this is what everyone's gonna think. I would imagine. Like I used to live on Elmhurst when it was grimy. Well, not as super grimy, middle grimy. And now condos is up. Spurs is gone. Condo building or nice looking building. I'm like, that's weird. So as long as that keeps going on all over, where they like kind of tear stuff down and proceed to replace it with super expensive buildings, like I like, you know, and then has an impact on things. Is it even like viable that you have not to like take shots? I'm sure not like as a collective, as a party, it can be done, but like can NDG's mayor like have a significant impact in this?
yeah. I mean, definitely. I think if we commit to building actually affordable, you know, units, apartment units, um, you know, offering, you know, ways that developers can maybe negotiate for lower prices of materials in order to save money on the building, in order to, you know, kind of as a bargaining chip to maybe make the rents, you know, more affordable. You know, it could be done that way. I mean, there is nothing affordable about condos, right? I mean, the units are expensive, the fees are expensive. You know, when condos go up, the price of everything, or, you know, around it seems to go up. You know, rents for small businesses go up. Small business owners have to leave the neighborhood. You know, you're losing culture, you're losing artists, you're losing, you know, people that make up the fabric of a great neighborhood like, you know, Côte-des-Neiges and NDG. I mean, it's going to become so generic after a certain point, you know, when all these people are forced to exit. And that's really why I want to put my foot, you know, in the middle of it and at least try to slow it down. Yeah, and protect the borough that I'm really passionate about and that I love, you know, sincerely. Yeah.
That's big facts. I love how like political you're saying everything. I mean, I know you have to, but like I'm like, man, I'm doing my best to watch my P's and Q's, but I'm like, yo, this guy's spitting it all like with the perfect language. I really appreciate that. Um,
Thank you.
yeah, the gentrification be messing up the hood is more what I'm feeling with it. And I said, cause yo, I grew up here too, though. Like for me, it's like I
Yeah,
did
for
grow up
sure.
here, like more like Coast St. Luke across the street kind of thing. But like,
Okay.
I mean, I watched a lot of things change in the last decade and whatnot, and I get it. A lot of people are like family friendly, this and that. I don't have kids, so team parent out there, just so y'all know, I don't have children, and I know your reality is mad different than mine. But like, how do you achieve that middle ground of say appeasing the parents and then letting me and my marijuana smoking brethren come through the park at the same time? And like, how do you achieve that like middle ground of all of us kind of being happy? Because I feel like there's a trade-off, and a lot of people are going to either go towards I want the parents, and then you're going to go for the other side of it. Maybe I'm misreading this, but in my brief little conversations, I feel like this is how it kind of boils down. So how do you bridge that gap?
That is what a great question. I mean, how do you, I mean, you know, if you look at kind of Girard Park, for example, let's say, you know, you have a lot of families around there. You have a lot of people that gather in that park, you know, smoking weed or you know, having a picnic, uh, you know, and you can't really, there's kind of a interesting cross section between like the old hood and then the new sort of developments that are happening. And now I think depending on where you are in the borough, you're sort of seeing that blend between the kind of the old school that used to be there and you know all these and these families that are coming in. And we're not trying to discourage either one of them from leaving, you know, rather than just stay in the same borough harmoniously. And then, you know, if maybe you smoke your weed a bit further from where the, you know, the children are hanging out, you know, always. But
Yeah, I mean, at least my peeps are respectful like that. I'm not trying to throw
yeah,
anyone out there. But like, let's say it's simple in Girard Park, but let's say I'm over on the other side where it's less simple. And then like, where is there like the hangout spots for adults? So I was thinking about this from like a venue perspective. So me and mines make the hip hop, right? And I can
yeah.
understand how y'all don't really want us in the park cussing and maybe having some tomfoolery. But then where do we go in NDG? It feels like outside of that one rumor spot, there's almost literally nowhere for people to actually throw these kinds of events and be accepted.
Do you mean like venues themselves, or kind of like
Yeah.
parking lot cycle?
Well, no, I mean more like since like the parking lot thing's got permit issues where I'm pretty sure it'll get mad complicated, mad fast on some other issues that might be outside of your control, which led me to
Right.
venues where like, yo, maybe that could be a viable solution. And is it possible to create venues and opportunities for local artists? Like I'm looking at it like I know a lot of artists in NDG and we have to go perform in not NDG. And that's got to be bad for like NDG's dollar of tourism values and things like that.
Yeah. You know, for sure. There, I think as far as, you know, within the hip hop community, there's probably, you know, you would know better than anyone, or better than myself at least. I mean, if you're saying there's no venue for hip hop artists to
That I
express
know
themselves,
of. That I know of. Throwing it
right?
out there.
Well, I for sure, and I think that's, you know, calling around places as well. But you're probably right. I mean, I know I had mentioned to you the Wheel Club perhaps, but they're more of like a country sort of, you know,
Yeah,
bluesgrass. Sort of.
I don't see it going down there.
Don't
But
see it going down.
like
Well, I
in
mean, yeah, go on.
so how, like would y'all be open to investing in something like that? Because I mean that would be something like you would push the motion forward if I understood correctly.
Yeah. We it would be contingent on a lot of things, you know, the zoning, noise levels, you know, proximity to residences. And I think there's probably more a need for some of these, you know, more social housing projects than
That's
perhaps,
fair.
you know, like a venue of that nature. I mean, there used to be the Empress Theater, but I mean that's been boarded up, and kind of, you know, closed off for a long time. But I'm trying to think. I mean, you have, you know, Oscar Peterson Hall, but maybe that's more of a classical sort of venue. Um,
Yeah,
and
that's kind of the
I'm
issue
kind of
that you end up
brainstorming.
facing. Like I
Yeah,
mean, I,
yeah,
I I mean I'm not saying it's impossible to make it happen. I'm saying I do think it's a good prioritization to say yeah, housing might be a more important thing to focus on right now. Fair enough.
yeah.
I'm not against that. I still just think it's worth throwing it into the universe because like in the sense of keeping people in your borough, if you can up the cultural value of the borough, then people will be down to come in, even if the prices maybe are higher at a math level. I know it's not the same goal. I'm just trying to advocate it for the peoples out there
Right.
on my.
You have to represent, you know, your community too. So no worries.
So yeah, I saw a comment from Sandrine where it's like we have big, beautiful park outdoor concerts could be held, but y'all don't want us to swear in those big, beautiful parks when we have our concerts, which is where it gets a little tricky out there for people. We're just trying to be like respectful a little bit. But if y'all okay with us cussing, I'm not okay with all the public park ideas.
Yeah.
um, so that's cool. So the housing is a big thing for you. As far as other initiatives, what else would you guys be focusing on?
You know, like as I had mentioned earlier, I mean, the restructuring of the, you know, public security budget is a big one for us, you know, as well. The SPVM receives, you know, 679 million dollars is their budget per year, right? So that's 2.5 times more, or if not even more, the social housing. budget. And so we're really going to try to explore ways to, to move funds or reallocate funds from that budget into other services, within the community, to not compromising the safety, of the public, of course, but just exploring ways, to restructure that budget and put it in other places.
Sorry, I'm multitasking, but I'm listening.
Oh, okay. No worries. Also, I mean, the commercial arteries within the boroughs as well. I mean, the traffic, build up, maybe just how sort of the coming and going of traffic, some of the lines painted on the streets, some of the lines not painted on the streets, some of them always don't make sense, where there should be a turning lane, for example, on Cavendish and Chester, like it doesn't exist. Just how to reroute, or not necessarily reroute, but make it so that these main arteries make sense, right?
I have never once thought about that. I didn't even know that was a thing that people thought about. You're saying literally the directions of the house, of the, like, the ability to turn right over there needs to be decided by the city, approved. Someone has to go change the signs and like actually run that gauntlet of going through that.
Yeah,
I guess
for sure.
that improves traffic flows and makes things like a little bit better. That's what I'm understanding.
Definitely. Parking situation as well. I mean, I don't know if, I'm sure some of the motorists out there can kind of attest to the whole Terrebonne, Rue Terrebonne bike path that was just, for lack of a better word, a disaster. I mean, it eliminated all parking within the street, and I think people were very upset. And since then, I believe it's rectified. I drove, down that street the other day. But just ensuring that, there's motorists and cyclists can get around the borough safely, and keeping the traffic, sort of moving, right? I mean, and also you see these cyclists burning down the bike path, like there's children along those roads as well. I mean, it doesn't take long to kind of even follow a cyclist and see them, they're going through red lights, they're going through stop signs. I mean, this stuff happens every single day. So I think there's a responsibility of motorists to pay attention for to cyclists as well. Share the road with the motorists and pedestrians too, right? I mean, that's the biggest concern, right? People on foot, for sure.
So as a cyclist who may occasionally burn through some of those stop signs and stuff, who does look first? Because we do look first mostly. Yo, the cars are just as bad. I just gotta put it out there. Y'all think motorists ain't breaking every freaking law that they can be breaking? Y'all think that, like, I'm just gonna throw it out there because for the team cyclists, but yo, I have to agree this Terrebonne one. And who goes on Terrebonne when you're cycling? Like, what? You have Fielding and you have Sherbrooke, you have the Maisonneuve. Literally, why do we, I think I've got on the Terrebonne one and I'm like, I guess there's a bike lane here. It doesn't look like one. It's weird. I'm supposed to go here. So I have to give you credit. That's a waste. And yeah, cyclists, we gotta behave. Sometimes we don't behave. Motorists also don't behave. I just wanted to be said. But that's an interesting point. So we got an interesting comment that I was like trying to make sure I didn't forget, and it's from Sandrine. She says she owns a little ice cream shop, and support on Sherbrooke has been non-existent, and she's curious what you're going to do for small business owners.
I mean, as far as exposure, or just, I mean, in general?
I'm not 1,000% sure what the context beyond the question is beyond that, so I hope you're still with us, Sandrine, and you can follow up. But I don't know if there's anything that you have planned for small business owners within your mandates or plans in general.
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, we'll come check out Sandrine's
support. I don't.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, we're gonna be hitting the campaign trail pretty much all summer, and that's. If that's a spot that Sandrine wants us to stop by, then yeah, 100%. I mean, we'll come there. We'll pass by there on Wednesday, and we'll give a shout out there, and yeah, we'll sit down and have that conversation you know, yeah, like together, right?
That's fair. I can only do so much in the third party asking, but do you in general like, cuz you have like housing as a focus, but I guess I imagine small businesses are also a group of folk that are going, we're also a focus. Is there like plans for that, or within the overall approach you're going to take for your mandates and whatnot?
I mean, you know, small businesses have definitely been hit hard, you know, throughout the pandemic. I think as, you know, the restrictions on, you know, how many people are allowed to enter the store, you know, at one point in time will be, you know, lessened. I think as of Monday, I think that's, you know, naturally going to help with small business and small business owners. And then, you know, if given the platform, and like I really want to be active within the borough and the community, and I will tout other people's small businesses. You know, I will support them. You know, I will shout them. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's not, you know, to throw shade against, you know, the big corporations and those sort of businesses, but it's, you know, the small businesses that make up the foundation and like I mentioned earlier, the fabric of the borough. So yeah, we got to do everything possible to promote these businesses and maybe put it, you know, put it on the you know, our webpage or create a web page that we can do that. Just get something, get a bit more connection in with
Can
everyone
you do
within the
that?
borough.
Can y'all make like a NDG, like, okay, like take like the Thrive NDG group and make an
Yeah,
actual government website that serves a practical, or like, not to say it's not practical, but that actually
yeah.
serves as like a digital repository sanctioned by the city that shouts out particular things? Is that like allowed? That sounds so modern.
It's worth a look, you know, at least. I mean, if it's all within, you know, the legal framework and we can make it happen, then why not? Like, why are we not trying to build each other up in the borough is something I've never understand. You know, it's like we're all coming out of this pandemic. We need to start to rally together. We need to start connecting more. We need to form a community again, and that means building up people's businesses, building up each other, like positive messages of support, referrals, you know, word of mouth. I really believe that we can connect within the borough. You know, I mean, growing up, I had so many friends just within, you know, Côte des Neiges, NDG, just talking. We go to this person's place, you know, that person's business, this, and that. So we have to start networking a little more. I mean, now soon we'll be given that opportunity, you know, so why not? Let's just build everybody up and stop you know, the rat race, I guess, for lack of a better word. Yeah.
That's fair. How do you feel about environmental initiatives, and do you guys have focus on that?
Um, yeah, I mean, for sure. You know, the environment is key, whether it's, you know, planting more trees or more greenery, you know, trying to maybe reduce, you know, emissions, you know, just being more conscious of that. I mean, it's not a platform that, you know, we've delved into per se at this moment. For sure, we'll take that question back, you know, to the party, and I'd love to come back, you know, with a more concrete and more specific example, you know, of how we can do that, for sure. But the environment is paramount. You know, we're you know, we're seeing as, you know, weather patterns change and everything like that. If there's something that we can do on a smaller level within the borough, then yeah, absolutely. Whether it's more composting or encouraging recycling programs, you know, being advocates for that, then yeah, definitely.
Can you do more community gardens?
Yeah, sure. I mean, if the space, it's all a matter of space. You know, do we have the the place to do this? And you know, there's a lot of greenery in NDG. There's tons of parks. You know, if we can put in you know, garden boxes and things like that, then yeah, absolutely. Like why not? Rooftop gardens as well. You know, maybe on municipal buildings. You know, I'm not sure. Maybe like the, you know, the English Montreal School Board, we can throw something up on the roof there. Like I'm not sure, right? But it's all,
Yo,
they're all great ideas.
if you did do
Yeah.
that, you can tell Balarama over there that would get you some good organic hype. No, for real. Like people
Yeah,
really dig this. Evidently, that would get you a lot of youth attention, even if maybe
yeah,
some other demos are less interested in it. But there's a lot of rooftops in NDGs that are just not accessed. We don't even get to do a lot of the cool New York City go on the rooftop stuff. You know, mostly they're boarded off. So there's just a lot of space not being used by anyone. And I'm certain you could incentivize landlords to look into that type thing. I don't know.
yeah.
I'm just spitballing off the top of my head. How are you? How do you feel about going against the other candidates? Like, I don't want to be like putting you against the other people, but like at the end of the day, we have Sue and Alex, and I heard there's Lionel. Lionel's another one I learned the name of recently, and
Yeah.
then I think there's another one. So with all of these candidates out there, what is the main reason that people should be picking Matthew Kerr over other people?
I mean, I'm a fresh face in the game. And my goal is to give proper representation to both sides of the borough. I mean, you have NDG and you have Code Danish, and I really want to make it a universal borough. I think Sue Montgomery she's kind of carved a niche out for herself, within the Monkland Village and the kilometer radius around it. But the borough extends so much larger than that. um, so and I'm here to listen to the people as well, and I really truly genuinely want to form a connection with the people in the borough, with the citizens, and I want to hear their ideas, and I want to talk to them. You have Lionel Perez as well. On the other hand, he's associated himself with the Coder administration. We've seen Coder. We know a little bit what he's about. We know how his system runs, whether it's like the $40 million lights on the bridge, the $1 million gazebo in Mount Royal. And he's an individual that takes money and just, this is our money, this is taxpayer dollars, right? These big highfalutin projects, Formula E, someone's got to pay for that, and it's us, right? Dog band breeding dog bands, as well. Um, that was a motion that he was pushing for, during his time in office. So how what makes you think that anything is going to be different, right? If the Coder administration comes back in. So I'm here to represent a new party, Mouvement Montréal, Balarama Holness. He's running for the mayor of Montreal. I mean, Matthew Kerr running for the mayor of NDG Côte des Neiges, and Mauricio Pena running for city councilor Snowden. So, that's what we have right now. We'll be announcing, new candidates for city councilors in the near future, but we're here and we're genuinely passionate about representing.
I appreciate that. Okay, I'm curious to know. So we have Sue, and you brought up this Monkland thing, and I'm like, huh. Come to think of it, yeah, nobody does care about my part of NDG that much. That's my general. Although they are doing a construction thing in Loyola Park, and nobody, I don't know what it is. We debate what it is, but I don't know what it is. But then I realized, yeah, it doesn't seem like people really care that much about my part of the neighborhood. It does feel like Monkland Village is pretty lit though. It has gotten nice over there, which also kind of tapped into what Sandrine was saying, is that Sherbrooke has to compete with Monkland in a big way if you're over there. So that's all stuff I never
But
actually thought about before.
right, Sherbrooke has so much to offer too. There's so many great small businesses there, and I don't know why Monkland gets all the hype. I don't know why you see Monkland all the time. All the Coder was just there the other day snapping photos with his team, and no, the borough is huge. It's the biggest borough in Montreal.
Yeah,
So why?
like when did I mean? I'm just baffled by that. I'm like, because I grew up here, and I'm like, Sherbrooke's dope, and then all of a sudden, Monkland wasn't that cool. No offense to Monkland people, but like when I was young, Monkland had like was okay. It was like
Right.
weak Sherbrooke. Um, but how do you actually plan on connecting with people, like just on a personal level? Because that's super fascinating to me. I imagine, I don't know how Sue does it. I'm gonna ask her if I talk to her. I'm gonna ask everybody how they, like, at a more logistical level. Like, is it social media? Are they gonna, you're gonna be in the parks? Like, how do people find you? How do you accomplish that part of the goal?
I mean, I think elections and ground are gained on the ground. It's going to be a ground game. It's going to be knocking on doors. It's going to be, introducing myself to people in public, in small businesses, holding meet and greets. We were just in Côte-des-Neiges. We were at Kent Park rather last weekend. We were talking with people in there and getting our message across. And the support was great. And that's what we're going to keep on doing, approaching the citizens in public, respectfully. Some people have already made up their mind who they're voting for, right? It doesn't matter who Matthew Kerr is, so, but that's okay. I want to hear from them anyway. I want to speak to them, and that's how it's going to be done. We have social media platforms as well. I'm on Instagram, the real CDN DG. I'm going to be launching my Facebook page as well. It's already set up, but I just have to get that out there. Mauricio has his Facebook page set up. So there's so many avenues to get in touch with me and in touch with the team. And I encourage people to hit me up directly. Don't be shy. Send me the DM. Like I'm going to respond. I'm going to read your message, and I want to hear from everyone. I want to hear from as many people as possible. I mean that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's incredible. At this point, I'm not really sure. Like, I don't want to stretch this out just for the sake of stretching it out. So I don't know what other questions that I could ask at this point. I think you answered a lot of stuff. So if anyone out there has other questions, you guys can feel free to ask. And since there's delays and whatnot before people will answer, do you have any remarks or anything you want to say to the people that hasn't been said?
I think we covered, just about everything. Just to reiterate, Mouvement Montréal, Matthew Kerr, Mauricio Peña, we're here, we're running in the election, and we are hardworking, genuine people that want to make a difference in the borough. I really truly want to connect with the individuals in the borough. If you have ideas, I want to hear them. If you're an expert in something, please reach out to me. You know what I'm saying? That's just going to be so important throughout this whole process, and we've just began too. We only announced officially pretty well today all everyone that's running up until this point. So we have a summer cut out for us, but it's going to be a ground and pound game, and we're going to be everywhere and always available. And yeah, at the risk of repeating myself, just get in contact, reach out, leave a comment, leave a like, leave a post, and don't be shy. And hopefully I'll be back on the show again, maybe, towards the end of the summer to kind of address some more, questions and maybe things that people aren't happy with that I mentioned today. So, I'd love to come back. Thank you for having me. And
man. I mean, for me, it's my pleasure. Like I said, I just think it's important that somebody in English talks to the English people about the stuff. Do you have, I feel like you at the NDG level, you don't have a lot of influence on this, but does the NDG tier of things have influence on the language situation, or is that more like a Balarama move?
I think that's more of a Legault move.
So it's really like Montreal is just kind of we can say what we want. Legault does what he wants.
Well, Legault, I don't really want to get into, Bill 96 and all that today.
No, fair enough.
Yeah.
It was more the limitations. Because I don't think a lot of people fully understand the tiers of government and their responsibilities. So I wasn't sure if there was anything that could be done at a municipal level, but if the Quebec government just overrides, that's what it is at a municipal level.
Yeah, I could be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure it goes higher up on the ladder. But, we want to start with recognizing Montreal as a bilingual, city, and then maybe from there, some groundwork can be made in terms of making it, more bilingual friendly or more towards Anglophones. Yeah.
No, thank you for answering that. And I wasn't trying to set up any kind of big questions.
That's okay.
It's just, sometimes it's just good to know it's possible or not. But I appreciate having you here. We can definitely have you back in the future. For me, it was like an impulse, and then I posted, and then Moro decided to reach out to the world, and now here we are. And then I'm like, wait, when is the election? November 7th. I'm like, ooh, it's months of this to come. So we'll see what happens. We'll run it. Who knows what is possible, but we will definitely have the YouTube video of this available so people can come watch this in the future. We'll make sure y'all can get a copy of that and put it out there. Man Bear Pig wants to know, how will your background in sports translate to your term?
You know, when you're competing at a high level of sports, it's you know, you give everything, right? So I mean, and especially on a rugby front, like I can say something cheesy like, "Oh, we're gonna tackle the issues like no one else ever has," or something. But you know, the discipline and the time and the effort that's required to compete, you know, especially at any level, really, it doesn't matter, you know, low level, high level, but just the dedication and you know, the blood, sweat, and tears. I mean, all those kind of cliche things. I mean, like, that's all going to be put into this campaign and into the trail leading up to it, and beyond, hopefully, right?
Yeah, I respect that answer. Starberry wants to know, what do you have to say to your dearest supporters?
That their support, you know, means so much to me. It really does. I mean, I put the message out on Facebook, you know, when I announced in front of City Hall, and then, you know, you don't really measure success in likes, but, you know, you kind of do the ratio between how many friends you have and how many likes you got, and it was overwhelming. You know, it was almost half, and it was just so cool to see that, like, half of, you know, my list was just down. Right? They were the support was great, and I love them so much. And I know who Starbury is. I want to say, Rafi, congratulations on the wedding. I hope to be there soon, and congratulations on the engagement and the nuptials, because they're married now. So yeah, huge respect for that guy too, and thanks for tuning in, Raf. Appreciate it.
Maverick Pig asked another really, really good question that I should have thought of. How can we help you get elected?
Word of mouth is going to be the biggest, you know, sort of driving force. Just spreading, you know, sharing my posts, you know, coming out on mobilizations, you know, when we're walking through the neighborhoods, speaking to your friends, your family, to people that can help me as well. You know, economists, economists, you know, realtors, you know, healthcare professionals, you know, social service professionals. If you know, can refer me to people, that's great. You know, I want to hear from them. I want to talk to them. If you have references, and just anything that can help me, you know, get a little more on my competition in this trail, it would be amazing. So exactly, just word of mouth, referrals, shares, likes, and hype. You know, that's what we want.
Amazing. So thank you for coming through, Matthew. I think at this point that is all the questions. Oh, no. Can you remind real quick the best way to stay tuned with the events you have going on? Is it going to be Facebook? That was another question, I swear, that just popped up.
Yeah. I'll have my Facebook page up and running. You can follow Balarama Wholeness as well on his IG, you know, as well as Mauricio, and all of the upcoming information will be delivered through those platforms. And my personal page, it's just Matthew Kerr. It's Matthew Kerr on LinkedIn, Matthew Kerr on Facebook, at the real CDN DG on IG, and then I'll have the other platform set up pretty soon too. So that's the best way to follow. And yeah, my page will be up soon. Morals is already up, so you can throw him a like. You can throw Balarama a like, and anyone else on the party. Even if you're listening from a different borough, you know, there's a chance, you know, it's likely that there's a representative from Mouvement Montréal in your borough too. So don't be shy to reach out to them, because the team is great. You know, it's all professionals, people from so many different diverse backgrounds, and we're really kind of sharing the same passion for change and advancement and social justice. So it's a special team.
I definitely think you have conveyed the politics of the general sphere of what Mouvement Montréal represents for the people. And I appreciate you coming through and doing this. It was a huge pivot for me. The good politics, big different. Not what we're normally doing here. I think I even managed to avoid the swearing, which was, I'm pretty proud of myself. So I appreciate you coming through. I appreciate all you watching too. There was a whole bunch of people. That number stayed over 10 the whole time for since you came through, at least. And that's like pretty incredible that there's like already a little bit of stuff coming out. So go tell all your friends that this happened. Go show them the video when it's out so that they can see what Matthew Kerr is like in the video flesh, and then go meet him in the flesh. And yeah, we appreciate all of you for real. And then in the future, thank you all for watching. Then like, follow, subscribe, all that good stuff, because you know it's the YouTube stuff. And since we mad independent, if you support what we do, patreon.com/behindthatsuit. On that note, we're gonna end things up real proper. On the Twitch side, we're gonna start a raid, which means we invade somebody else's channel. And on that note, live long and prosper, everybody out there. Matthew, it was super wonderful to have you here with us.
Thank you so much, Holden. Peace. I'll see you around.